No. Let's go to here first. Fantastic, Mr. Fox. Are you crazy? Fantastic hip hop. But yeah, listen. Um, give me a second, real quick. Okay, yeah. Now is the time for me to actually react to something else. Let's see. Let's see where we left off with fantastic hip hop. 10 most hated albums. That was a year ago, though, so we're not gonna get into that. I mean, Joey made his worst mistake. Hold on. Who's dropping an album? Someone's dropping an album. We're reacting to this. We react to both of them. Hold on, how? Don't waste 10 minutes. Let's go here first.
You didn't take the easy path. You blazed your own trail. Through late nights and...
Now, as we are officially in a new year, we are about to experience a whole new chapter in hip-hop, and while some people like Drake have said that they pushed back their new albums into 2025 so they can have a fresh start and new beginning to their careers, in actuality, most of what we saw being built in 2024 in the rap world...
Oh yeah, by the way, if you are a hip-hop fan, make sure you hit that subscribe button. If you're already here, hit the like button. But yeah, man, shout out to Fantastic Hip Hop. If you know what I mean, subscribe to their channel as well. But anyway, let's keep it moving. Let's go. But yeah, I understand. New year, fresh start. Give me, let's go. But that mentality you should have. If you can have it continuously, have it continuously. It just makes more sense.
World is only going to continue and get stronger. And at the top of this list is, of course, none other than Kendrick Lamar and what he has been doing. And now, despite Kendrick dropping his album GNX at the end of 2024 and that record performing so well that he could really take off for years if he wanted to, we have just gotten more confirmation that Kendrick was really just...
Don't tempt him. Knowing Kendrick, don't tempt him. Don't tempt him. Because we need visuals for TV Off. We need visuals for Lufa. We need visuals for Blue Dodger. Oh no, sorry, Dodger Blue. We need visuals for the whole song on his album. I don't care. We need visuals. You know what I'm saying? Don't tempt him to take time off. 3 years. We don't need that for now. You know what I'm saying? We don't need that for now. In fact, you know what I mean? We don't. We honestly don't. We just don't.
Just getting started with that record, and that a lot more is going to be coming in 2025. And now, before we get any further into why this is and just how ambitious Kendrick's year is going to be sure to leave a like and subscribe. It helps me out a ton. And so now with Kendrick Lamar's 2025, as everything is stacking up right now, despite Kendrick Lamar solidifying himself as the undisputed MVP in hip-hop of 2024, and really he had one of the best years a rapper has ever had in the history of the entire genre. In 20...
That's arguable. That's very arguable. The reason why I'm saying that's arguable is because let's put things in perspective. Are you talking in terms of sales? I don't know. Because I'm not saying he hasn't sold a lot, because he has, but I'm just talking in terms of if you look at DMX for a prime example, in 1998, he released 2 albums and they went number 1. Yeah? 2 albums and they went number 1. And then I think also that was his more or less his debut year in terms of in the mainstream. You know what I mean? Because he's been about from the early 90s. You know. Do you know what I mean? So my thing is, it's a thing of you have to understand. It's hard to explain. You have to put things into perspective. If you're talking about, I don't know, as far as notoriety, again, that's arguable because you got like, I don't know. I don't explain it. Put it this way: you could say that it arguably is Kendrick Lamar's biggest year. Of 2004 was his biggest year. I would say 2024 was his biggest year in his career so far. Now that would make more sense only because of the stats, but I'm like, it doesn't really make sense. But then it does in terms of if you look at how Not Like Us has now, do you know what I mean? gotten to the point where petition for a lawsuit. He's gotten to a point where, like, it's hard to explain, like, but the fact that he's won a Pulitzer Prize years ago, I don't know, man. Like, how do you determine a success in terms of hip hop culture? Like, it's been around for nearly 50 plus years, right? So how can you determine? You get me? I'm not knocking Kendrick Lamar's success. I would never do that. But what I'm trying to say is you have to put things into perspective. Let's go.
2025, it seems like he is only going to be outperforming himself, even against the historic year he just had. And when it's all said and done, Kendrick may just end up having the most dominant period of a career that any rapper has ever had over their field, because we all already know that Kendrick is set to make history this year between the Super Bowl, the predictions about sweeping the Grammys, which is something that even all-time legends who are nominated against him like Eminem think he should do. And then after all of this, he will of course be the third rapper in history to go on an entire stadium tour. And now while we know all of these events are going to happen, and based on what we already have seen, altogether, they will deliver an experience like nothing else right now can match. What we are also seeing is that right alongside these major milestones and moments that are going to give Kendrick Lamar more exposure than ever, is that Kendrick?
Do you know what, yeah? If you think about it, I'll
He's
talk
also
about
planning on releasing more music, and when it comes to what he is actually going to be putting out, well, we once thought that there was just one more piece of music coming and that would complete this arc he is on in this entire moment in time. From the conversations going on in the industry, which is showing that everybody is moving back in fear of this guy, to what we are seeing quietly come out from Kendrick's camp and from his close collaborators. There is a lot going around about what Kendrick Lamar's 2025 is going to look like, and while we don't know when Kendrick Lamar is going to exactly come out and release music, because just as we saw with the actual release of GNX, he is always going to put out bodies of work when we are least expecting it, we can already see that based on the current conditions of the industry and where everything's going.
that's facts. He always does that. He always puts out music unexpected, randomly. Like I remember when he released GNX, yeah. Like I remember, I was like, "Oh, I've got to live stream this reaction to this music, to this album. I have to." Before he even takes it off, you know what I mean? Like I have to. Like I was afraid he was going to take it off. I'll be honest, I was afraid. I was afraid because I don't know. Like, let's go.
Kendrick is going to be releasing one major body of work at the beginning of 2025 and presumably in the first 2 months. And narrowing this down even more, based on the fact that the first month of 2025 is going to feature 2 album releases from 2 of the other biggest artists in the world in both The Weeknd and Bad Bunny, who, while based on all of their recent sales numbers, Kendrick could easily outperform. With them both being signed to UMG alongside Kendrick, it does not seem likely that he is going to be going up against some of the label's other biggest artists on their entire roster. But now, moving past these releases and looking at what is going to be going on in the rest of the music industry, after January, where so much is going to be going on from some of the biggest names in the industry, February is setting itself up to be an entire month where the music industry is taking 2 steps back, and they are going to be in hiding while Kendrick Lamar has one of the most historic months we will.
It will be a historic month. Mind you, in America, February is the month of Black History Month. And what did Kendrick Lamar do last year in 2024? Yeah, what did he do? He did the pop-up show on Juneteenth. Do you see what I'm going to say? So he's going to do something like he's going to do something remarkable. I don't know what it is, but he will do something remarkable. And it's crazy when I think about it, because it's like, not crazy, it's like when I think about the whole context of his trajectory in terms of his career so far, I believe, and I could be completely wrong here, I believe he's in a situation where he's just like, I don't want to say he's in cruise control, but he's in cruise control. You know what I'm saying? He's in cruise control. Like, pun intended, he's in control. Like, I feel like, because you know when some artists, yeah, they can get to the top, and I feel like Kendrick Lamar was always at the top anyway. It's just whether you are team vibes or team just pure music overall. Yeah, it's just depending on what level you are, because you can be team vibes only, or you could be team. You know what I mean? Like substance. That's what I'm gonna say. Substance, because that's what Kendrick Lamar will give you. He'll give you substance through different type of tones, and you know what I mean. Like he will give you substance. Like GNX will, like you can hear the substance. Like think about it, TV off is not like Luther or Dodger Blue. You know what I mean? Dodger Blue and Luther are in the same cadence, but they're slightly different. Then you have Reincarnated. You know what I mean? Like, come on, man.
Will ever witness. Because first off, with the Grammys, the biggest award show in music is said to have one of its most important years in a long time, as beyond even all of the other genres, Kendrick Lamar, J. Cole, Eminem, Andre 3000, Ye, Future, and so many other rap giants are going to be potentially stepping into the same building at the same time. And of course, from the rap categories to the other ones, Kendrick Lamar is the favorite to win multiple of the biggest awards possible. And now beyond this, of course, right after the Grammys, the Super Bowl is going to be coming up. And now, while again, we don't know what Kendrick Lamar is going to be doing on music's biggest stage and what type of event and spectacle he is going to put together when he has more eyes on him than most artists ever have in
Actually, the other video I'll react to another day. I just realized something. Excuse me.
their entire careers. What we have recently found out, and this is very telling about where we're going, is that when the physical versions of Kendrick Lamar's GNX in terms of the CDs, vinyls, and cassettes ship, they are now expected to ship out during the week of the Super Bowl, which means that their sales figures will be counted for that week when Kendrick has this performance. And based on how good GNX did streaming-wise already, the physical sales for this album really could move anywhere between 300,000 to 500,000 physical copies, which means that just with that and not including the streaming boost from the Super Bowl, they are going to be giving Kendrick Lamar one of the biggest sales weeks of all time for a rapper. And now after Kendrick Lamar's GNX album physicals were set to ship in March and now they were moved up, while it once seemed like Kendrick Lamar would be releasing an entire new album around the time of the Super Bowl, which people had heard snippets of, and this project was seemingly the record that was going to be more ambitious and would feature all of the top tier talent from across the music world as opposed to GNX, which just featured West Coast artists. Seeing these dates shuffle, and with GNX being so successful and it dominated
When you put it in that perspective, it makes sense that he's released another album. It makes sense. It just makes sense. But anyway, let's give
charts
it.
for so long that between records like Squabble Up, TV Off, Luther, and everything else, this album doesn't just have some of the most momentum that any record has had in the music industry in quite some time, but it's really only going to continue to have more and more longevity. Altogether, it really seems like Kendrick Lamar is not in a rush to drop this greater album, and that it may not come out until later in 2025, and in order to give GNX one of the biggest sales weeks for a rap album ever, which already, between everything that comes with the Super Bowl and the...
All right, so let's predict he does release another album. I reckon it's going to come out around summertime. You know what I mean? Let's predict that. But this is Kendrick Lamar. Like we could all be predicting after the Super Bowl, but it could land the night of the Super Bowl. You never know. Irrespective of the sales, the physical sales copy that are going to be happening, you just never know. So it goes to show you if he is set to ship out physical copies of his album GNA, it makes me think that what's going to happen is he's going to perform some songs from the album at Super Bowl. It makes sense. It makes sense. So TV Off is definitely going to be played. 100. I can't say 100%. You never know. But I reckon it's going to be played. And I believe Dodger Blue is going to be played as well. And I believe probably a snippet of Humble, Sit Down, Be Humble, Sit Down, I listen. And then I'm not definite, but I reckon he has to play We Gonna Be Alright. Hey, we gonna be alright. Listen, he got bangers. Those who say he hasn't had bangers, you don't know what you're talking about. I told you he's got substance, right? Even if you think about the song Sit Down, Be Humble, like Humble, or you got song like All Right, you know what I mean? Like if you listen to them, there's substance within them. Like I don't think people really listen to Kendrick Lamar properly. If you not, anyway, let's keep it moving. I'm just keeping it real.
Physical shipping out should give it a bigger sales week than its first. Adding to this perfect moment, it seems like Kendrick Lamar is going to be dropping a deluxe version of GNX, and from an abundance of West Coast rappers saying they recorded more songs for the project that were not heard, to this shipping date being intentionally moved to give Kendrick the strongest numbers he could possibly get at the biggest time in his career. When it comes to showing off how important you are to audiences that are not familiar with your work inside of hip-hop, everything is really indicating that GNX is going to be getting maybe even an entire other side added to it that will flesh out this record and make its runtime closer to an hour long. And I really wouldn't be surprised if these deluxe tracks are going to be on the physical copies as well, because just like we saw with Tyler the Creator when he shipped out his physical copies of his record Chromacopia, we saw him add versions of songs that had alternate takes on records we already heard and even included different features on them altogether. And again, when we go back to the actual contents of the GNX album, which...
And you know what? Do you know who might be a feature on on the deluxe version or on Kendrick Lamar's new album that he's potentially going to release in 2025 this year? Tyler the Creator. It has to happen. Who else is going to feature? Doshi. I could be completely wrong, but it has to happen. Imagine Doshi, Kendrick Lamar, and SZA on one track. Are you in? Listen, the anticipation. But again, I could be wrong, and I'm here for it because Kendrick Lamar is one of those artists where he doesn't need a feature. By the way, he doesn't need one, but when it happens, it just works perfectly. Do you know what I mean? Even though he was a feature on 30 for 30 for SZA's song, do you know what I mean? Like, it just... those two need to do an album, by the way. Maybe that's going to happen. Maybe... No, I don't know.
From the actual content of the record itself to the trailer where we see something like two cars, duality was such a key theme. To then looking even further on the actual lyrics of the album on a track like Squabble Up, where Kendrick says he is going to double back like a deluxe. And specifically...
It's funny, when I was reacting to that video and to that song, which is on the other channel, like, I didn't clock what that meant. It almost felt like the way Kendrick speaks in code, isn't it? I won't say code, but like, he speaks in code. He does, yeah. But at the same time, he doesn't. You have to pay attention to really understand what he's talking about. But makes me realize I got to go back to the discography again and be like, okay, this is what this means. This is what that means. You know what I mean? Because it makes you think this guy's always been ahead of his time, isn't it? Always. But yeah, man. Yeah. I didn't know what it meant, but now I know. It makes sense. It makes sense.
In this bar, he says hit his turf and get cracking double back like a deluxe. And when you dissect this line between using the word turf and cracking, which are both football terms, and then even when we look at a track like TV Off, where Kendrick talks about walking into where the Super Bowl is being held, but with the etiquette of where he is from in LA, which while of course is talking about his own performance at the big game on one hand, could also be foreshadowing that Kendrick is going to be releasing a deluxe at this time that is going to be leaning more into his West Coast roots than we have ever seen. And so really, no matter how you want to think about this, with Kendrick Lamar's GNX physical copies intentionally shipping out right at the time when he is going to be performing at the biggest stage in music, and this will therefore give him the most momentum and attention that an artist can possibly have, and as a result, when you just look at the context clue,
it's interesting, the context. It's interesting trying to predict what Kendrick Lamar could do, what he wouldn't do, what he will do. It's so interesting. The only thing I got that I predicted right, and this is from like last year, like I predicted that he would defeat Drake. Yeah, I predicted that. Do you know what I mean? Now, as far as when it comes to him releasing music as a whole, I can never predict that. Never. I could never predict it. But anyway, speaking of predictions, you want to see my reaction to predictions from her name's crossed my mind, but basically it's on my other channel as well, so you can watch that as well. You know what I mean? Let's go.
Clues and see the moment we are in. Everything just makes so much sense that Kendrick is going to try and grow his fan base and make his platform even bigger than ever by having people enter his musical universe with a natural expansion and continuation of the project that is already dominating the charts, and in the case of a record like Luther, for example, is giving him the most radio play he has been getting from a
while. I was saying before, he needs to make a video for Lufa. He just needs to. It only makes sense. All right, make visuals for that. I would prefer that before TV off. And also remember, Luther. I think the Luther Vandross documentary is out now as well. So
wider audience outside of hip hop in years. And now with this deluxe, I think it will feature Kendrick Lamar having an even greater victory lap than we have ever seen. And while the West Coast theme will definitely be continued, I would expect this side of the project to include some bigger features like his fellow TDE rappers and MCs of that magnitude. And now from here, when we look at everything Kendrick is trying to accomplish, I don't think the deluxe album is going to be the last we see from him, because based on the way he has won over the music industry and just seeing how dominant this entire moment in time has been from him.
See, I don't think he's like won. It's, that term "won over the industry" is. It almost feels like he was. I don't explain it. Like he was always at a low point in his career. You have to be careful with the words you use, because the reality is, name one MC or name one rapper that has won a Pulitzer Prize before. Name one. Just name one. You know what I mean? Name one. Leave answer comments below. Name one. Just name one. I'm telling you, there's no other rapper that has won that. And that's a big deal. I don't think people understand. Yeah, because he's such a lyricist. You know what I mean? Anyway, let's keep moving.
Now he has control of the entire hip-hop genre from not just the culture perspective.
And I was saying that before, like I feel like he's in control, yeah. Like from a perspective of calmness, a perspective that everything he does turns to gold. You know what I mean? In fact, everything he does turns to platinum. And it's interesting because no matter what career you do, there is always the perspective of if you if you focus your mind on your career, right? And you want to be at the top level, or you're just yourself, right? Naturally, you're just yourself. Or even if you're trying to get there, let's say, forget it. Let's focus on if you're trying to be the top, and you're in control, regardless of what career you do. There is two different types of control. You've got control where there's chaos around you. Do you know what I mean? Where anything could happen and things could go left. Not to say things can't go left for Kendrick Lamar, because we're human, but God forbid, isn't it? But it's like, what I'm trying to say is, with Kendrick Lamar, he's in a situation where he's so calm, and you can see it in the way he moves. Like, he's not even faking the calmness. He literally is so calm and nonchalant. In every music video you see of him, even before the beef, he's always been calm. And he's told you in 616 in LA, I move in my own circadian rhythm. Get me? He's like, mannerism of Raphael, I can heal and give you art. Get me? That's my name still. Everyone's got.
But from the industry as well. That other album that people have been talking about that sounds nothing like GNX, I am sure is still a real thing. And I'd imagine it's going to be dropping in the summertime, right when the tour is happening. And also based on the way Kendrick Lamar and SZA have been reaching the top of the charts every time they drop. And now how SZA has teased the collab album with Kendrick Lamar in a social media post, and this is coming off a time recently where SZA already teased the fact that Kendrick Lamar was working on an entire new album in the first place that was on the way, and that.
Yeah, see, this is if SZA says something, I'm believing her. So let me go onto IG or Twitter or whatever platform she's on, and make sure I follow, because she is the one that will give it away. No, I'm joking. I don't know. I could be wrong. But I do remember her saying something before. So it's just interesting. They got a joint tour. And then, you know what I mean? There's a joint album, which I believe, yeah, it's so crazy, because it's like, if they've got a joint album, I think maybe just before the tour starts, probably 2 weeks or 3 weeks before, then release that. Do you know what I mean? So people can get used to that. But then at the same time, you need, the fact that it's a joint tour, you need people to have time to be able to, process, so they can learn the other songs, so they can enjoy the tour. Do you know what I mean? Enjoy the shows. Otherwise, it's going to be a bit too much too soon, if that makes sense. So everything's about timing. but also you do want to take advantage of momentum. But at the same time, you don't want to let the momentum take advantage of you, if that makes any sense. That's why it's key to what he said. I move in my own circadian rhythm. Do you know what I mean? Let's go.
And that ultimately turned out to be GNX. It seems like a pattern from her and could quietly be her way of letting us know that there is more music coming without actually saying too much. And based on everything we know and how close they will be, as they're going to be traveling through the biggest stadiums in the country together, they will have the opportunity to make records with momentum like we have never seen. And so now with all of this, from GNX Deluxe to the actual album we have heard is coming to some sort of a potential collab record with SZA, Kendrick Lamar has at least one, but possibly 3 albums that can be dropping in 2025, and I'm sure that no matter what Kendrick's plan is and where he is going to go with all of this momentum, if his music keeps getting better like we saw over the course of last year, then we are truly going to witness a prime from a rapper like we have never seen before. And so now with all of this said, let me know. What do you think about Kendrick Lamar and his plans to release more music in 2025? And what projects do you want to see? And what records do you think are actually going to be coming? Now, I can't wait to hear what you have to say. And if you made it to this point in the video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe.
Oh, well, I really subscribe, man.
And now if you want to see how just this Kendrick Lamar is garnering even more hype than ever as a musician because the quality of what he is releasing is so high, Drake has been getting even more embarrassing than he already has, that he is now by far the biggest joke in hip-hop history. Check out the suggested video.
I said he's the biggest joke in hip-hop history. Hey, yo. Hey, yo. This guy just doesn't like Drake. He does not like Drake. I'll pick that up later. All right, Kendrick is definitely the most valuable poet. Get me? MVP on the mic. You know what I'm saying? He really is. His album dropping right after or right before the Super Bowl. Mark my words. Got my foot on the gas, but somebody got to do it. Do you know what? My comment's going to be, well, K. Dot did. Spell properly. K. Dot did say that he will not pass the aux. So, any new music, I am here for it. Do you know what I'm saying? Any new music, I am here for it. I'm 100% here for it. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, I've got 2 more things to react to, or maybe I've got time for 1 more thing. Let me see. As usual, I'm gonna do something new here. It's still technically new. It's still technically new. So if you're a Chelsea fan,